The tax cut bill ended state and local tax deduction. You and I have...
No, it didn't end it.
Well, it capped it.
It limited
capped it to 10,000, but it really definitely impacts any high-income earners in those states, California, New York.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with that.
Well, but let's look
back.
at New York State. We've had 5% reduction in revenues last year. I think that's a catastrophic number for a state of New York. If that goes every year for the next 4 or 5 years under this tax bill, they're going to be looking at a de facto bankruptcy.
Well, okay.
Are you seeing this some worrisome? I know a lot of blue state governors are calling you and the president.
I have met with Governor Cuomo, who was an old friend, as his father was an old friend. We met in the Oval with POTUS, and then we met in New York. Governor, by the way, was very gracious. And yes, he's not happy with that. Let me just try to correct the record one wee bit. Part of the tax reform and tax cut bill was to basically eliminate the alternative minimum tax. So if you look at the data from the past, a lot of high earners who would have had huge deductions were pushed into the AMT and got no deductions. Now they are getting a $10,000 deduction. There's a lot of complaining, but look, can I say, first of all, the economy is booming, so a lot of these upper-end people, and the stock market is booming, are making out very well in what I call the new Trump economy. That's point number one. Point number two, regarding my home state, and I always want to help New York. I always want to help New York. As I've said to the governor, you could, Governor, lower your income tax rates, which would be a big boon to business and keep people in the state.
Right.
And by the way, regarding Andrew Cuomo, he did cut the corporate tax significantly in his first term. I give him all the credit in the world. So when I see him, I smile. In our cordial discussions, I said, you know, why not cut the income tax rates? That's the solution. The solution is not federal tax subsidies, Chris. The solution is lower marginal tax rates at the state level to attract business and to keep the wealthy and the creative at home.
I'm on board with you. I do think it causes disruptions in all of those states and will cause tremendous. I think there's some argument, discussion on it, but do you think there's a discussion within White House circles of maybe lifting that cap or bringing back in some form state and local deductions?
It would be very difficult.
It would be difficult.
It would be very difficult.
So it's not going to happen.
We will present new added tax reform ideas which will surface at some point in the near future. Okay, we are working on more tax reforms. Lower the marginal rates for growth and broaden the base to take away unnecessary subsidies and credits, which will make it a better system. We're looking at some interesting ideas, perhaps for the 2020 campaign. In the short run, with the Democratic House and the Republican Senate, I don't expect to see the tax bill reopened.
Let's talk briefly about China. I just read the South China Morning Post before I came over here. They have like a headline that says that even if this this trade deal is done with China, and I know Bob Lighthizer and Steve Mnuchin are leaving very soon to finalize the deal. They said it's going to bring a new Cold War between China and the United States. Do you see, is there...
The trade deal?
That, in other words, they might sign on the trade deal, but the Chinese are not happy. They're not going to see us as the partner they had perceived us before, or we had perceived them. Do you see this as being problematic in terms of commerce between our two great countries?
I've worked very hard as part of the trade group on this. Our role in life and policy is not to make the Chinese happy. China's given us a hard time on trade. Unfair, non-reciprocal, law-breaking, IP theft, forced technology transfers, stopping us from owning our own companies, cyber hacking, and so forth. Tariff and non-tariff barriers with respect to commodities, farming and industrial commodities, and a variety of other ways. They have not played by the rules. They have not played by the rules. And this president is the first president not only to talk about it, but to take action with respect to tariffs, which I think brought the Chinese to the table. And I will say,
I don't think there's any doubt of that.
As a free trader, he has taught me that tariffs can be a very useful and constructive weapon in negotiating better trade deals. The World Trading System and the WTO is broken down. And I give President Trump a lot of credit, and I've learned from his tough negotiating style. Now, having said all that as predicate, the talks have come a long way. Lighthizer is the best trade negotiator I have ever seen. I work very closely with him and honored to do so, along with Steve Mnuchin over at Treasury. We've made good headway across the board, Chris. We've raised issues that were never raised before. They're on the table. We've made headway on these issues. We are not complete. As the President has said, it's got to be a great deal for the United States. See, let me make this point. You say, well, the Chinese are not happy. Our role in life is not to make the Chinese happy. Our role in life is to have a truly free and fair and reciprocal trading system, which would be good for the United States economy, our manufacturing workers, our farm workers, and our entrepreneurs in technology. That is our goal. Okay, now, we will see, next couple of weeks will be very important because we're closing in on a deal, but we're not there. So I'm not going to, Bob Lighthizer will tell you more if he chooses to. So will Steve.
So a mutual friend of ours told me.
After these meetings, our guys are going over there. Liu He and his team are coming here. We will take stock and see how this looks. I'm rather, by the way, I'm cautiously optimistic about this.
So a mutual friend of ours, we both know, is pretty much clued in on all of this. He was saying that he thinks there might be like $200 billion of tariffs that are going to remain in that deal. Are you seeing that?
I don't want to comment on the tariff story. The tariffs are an important part of the enforcement process. Bob Lighthizer designed a very comprehensive and really path-breaking enforcement process. Tariffs are part of that discussion. I don't want to break any news on that. And by the way, one reason I don't is it's part of the negotiation right now.
We want you to break news. We need you to break news.
I'm going to be.
I might lose my job if I
already
don't get
gave you a couple of morsels. But in all seriousness, it's a key issue, and it's an issue that's going to be around, and we expect to continue to hold some leverage over China in the future. And President Trump has said this publicly. So I can't answer yes, no, or maybe. I'm just saying the remaining parts of the talks of this deal will either generate or not some decisions on tariffs.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel. Newsmax TV is now available for free on your smartphone. Just go to your iPhone or Android store and download the free Newsmax TV app. Then you can watch free TV news with an American spin anytime, anywhere in the world. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.